Rolling.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Conrad. I'm your host of Partnership for Profit podcast. And today we're on with Jayson McQuown. He's the growth and partnerships leader at Fala Network, an IT and technical company. Jayson, thanks so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Peter. I'm doing great, man. Excited
Tell
to be
us a little bit about what you work on.
Oh, yeah. We're working on Fala is the name of the company. I'm the director of sales here, so oversee our go-to-market motion, as you kindly said there. That's our core product. It's a small cloud player competing directly with Amazon Web Services or GCP or Azure, right? Our most recent product is designed specifically for lawyers, solo practitioners. And really what we're solving is the idea that it's not okay for certain things to be trained on, right? And we can dive into that a little bit more, but yeah, I'll hand it back to you.
Great, thanks. So we're talking about data privacy.
Correct.
And the tendency of cloud data to be available to be mined or harvested for the growth of AI, which is something that's pretty common across most industries right now, whether it's entertainment, medical research, and things like, well, I mean, we've all seen the news about legal briefs that are written and messed up by automatically generated engines.
Yeah.
And that stuff's coming from the idea that somebody wrote original documentation and then AI does its best, but its best isn't good enough yet. But who authorized the use of that data in the first place? And that's kind of the space where you're playing in, where you say, well, if nobody authorizes it, they don't want it shared.
Yeah, a little finer point on it. You're on the right track for sure. It's not so much of who authorized it. It's just the nature of an LLM, which is AI, right? A large language model, is to copy and paste that data, index that data, and train on that data to make the next iteration of that product better, right? If we think about Facebook, if we think about Google when it first came out, these were algorithms, right? That got better and better and better the more users that adopted the tooling. It's the same concept now. Those algorithms have just gotten dramatically more, and when I say dramatically, that's probably an understatement, more complicated. And all in all, it's great for society, right? But as we think about it in the legal profession, or when it comes to my personal information and your personal information, Peter, there's certain things that we probably don't want in the wild, wild web, right? And ultimately, that's what we're solving for it at Fala and the newest product that we just released, Red Pill. So hopefully that makes a little sense.
Yeah, sure. So tell us about the product. How does it work, and what guarantees are you making to your clients about their data?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, all of our deployments happen inside something that's called a trusted execution environment, a TEE to be, that's the acronym that's kind of commonly used. And really what that is, it's a hardware-defined security policy. All modern chips that come to market today, whether it's AMD, NVIDIA, you name it, they all are able to operate in a highly secure model or a the kind of standard model that I'd say 90%, probably higher than that, of the internet and things are built on today, because it allows you to go very, very fast, right? My founders, Marvin and Hong, built the software layer to deliver the same end user experience that a developer would get on Amazon Web Services, to be able to go really fast, but have the software deploy that inside the trusted execution environment. And then we're giving you the hashes back in real time that's proving to you that all your data is happening inside that trusted execution environment. And then we're relying on that technology to tell the narrative of we're maintaining that confidentiality. And Red Pill, it was built on Fala specifically for the power users, I'm going to say, right? The lawyers, the salespeople, the professionals who have sensitive things that they don't really want to get marketed to about, right? I think of the example, I have a 2-month-old son. If I'm asking ChatGPT things about my son, I know full well that ChatGPT is indexing that data. And when he turns 16 or however old he is to have a budget, he's going to get marketed to against based on the things that I'm asking ChatGPT, right? Which that's like, you can make an argument. Is that something that isn't the hugest deal? Maybe. But where I would draw the line is if he's now getting a higher or a lower insurance premium because of the prompts that I'm giving ChatGPT. Like that's where it's like I don't agree to that, right? So yeah, I'll pause there. Does that track? And let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, sure. There's a difference between targeted marketing that maybe directs things that you are more interested into your algorithm, into your sphere, versus targeted customization where you're charged a different price. Yeah, even the example of the digital banners at the grocery stores and everything, where in theory they could raise the price of water on a day when it's 5 degrees warmer. All that stuff where there's an algorithm and a marketing tool that they're using to pull in all of these extra data points. But like you said, what's the fairness of a system that tracks how often you got the flu 10 years ago and then determines your actuarial risk for insurance as an adult, right? I mean,
Right.
That sort of thing is not necessarily a fair use of the system because you didn't consent, or you as a parent didn't actively consent for that information to be recorded and documented and bundled up into the virtual image of the person that their virtual avatar of everything that makes up who they are. That whole what information does Facebook have about you? What information does Google have about you?
Right.
And then who's getting access to that information of your virtual avatar? Absolutely.
That's exactly right. Right. And those kind of use cases are a little more superficial, I'd say. Where it gets a lot realer is when we start thinking about it in the legal perspective, right? Just 2 days ago, a judge, actually, let me get the name for you, announced that, not announced, he ruled that if opposing counsel was using artificial intelligence, i.e. algorithms, to help with, I'm not exactly sure what, because the case is still actively ongoing, and I just found out about this morning. But it's essentially validated what I've been saying, that is, if you're uploading anything to an algorithm and you're in a legal profession, you have waived attorney-client privilege. An algorithm is the open square, right? It's the same thing as taking that document and leaving it on a park bench.
Crowdsourced. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
100% correct. And that algorithm is there's a bigger kind of conversation if I'm a lawyer, right? If I'm giving all of this information to any Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever it might be, they're training on that. And what's to stop them in a year or whenever they have enough data to just release a tool that lets the individual say, hey, I can represent myself and I can feel confident that I'm going to do that. And I'm going to pay $20 to get this level of functionality, versus I'm going to pay $900 an hour to a lawyer to get maybe I get 95% of the value that I get from the lawyer, but that should be a wake up call, I think, for lawyers everywhere.
Exactly right. When you can cut 90% of the cost and get something that's adequate in a subscription model, whatever your definition of adequate is, you've basically robbed intellectual property and experience from the people that created the original work to make that model possible.
Yep.
I'm right there with you.
And the issue is, and I was at a law firm or law event, in Florida last week. I'm going to another one in San Diego next week. Every vendor there, I'm asking them what their base model is, right? And these are only vendors that are advertising that they have artificial intelligence, and that's why it's a marketing for them, right? What's your base model? And that question was like I was speaking French, right? That vendor would then ask me what I do, and I would explain the kind of the conversation that you and I just had. and they would assure me that that's not an issue for them, right? And that there's no data leakage. And I didn't say this to their face because I don't want to be rude, but how could you possibly know that
right.
if you don't even know what your base model is?
It's the right thing to say, but it's totally hollow.
Correct. It's that there's a lot of hollowness out there. There's a lot of marketing fluff. I take issue with the term artificial intelligence just in general, because I think it's a disservice to what it should be or could be, right? I think there is a day, hopefully very soon, where we actually have artificial intelligence, and we don't have that today. You know, we're a lot of it is marketing fluff and people taking a narrative and then having the exact same product and putting AI in front of it and then selling it to the masses, right? And that drives me crazy I try to have ethics in what I do. But you know, go team.
No, I hear you. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about your team a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
So you've got collaborators, you've got developers and programmers and everything else. How do you put together that team to make sure that everybody's on the same page and driving towards the same goal?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'm thankful to work for two really ethical founders in my estimation. They understand this problem at a very core reason, and they did a lot to kind of help educate me and get me up to speed with a lot of this. I've only been working for them for about 6 months. They've been doing confidential compute for 6 years, and they're very big in the Web3 crypto space. That's how they bootstrap themselves, is by helping miners mine securely in areas where it's not legal to do so. And really what we're doing in the simplest way I can explain it for folks who do have that experience in Web3, is we're taking that same sort of confidentiality and applying it to AI algorithms, right? Putting those algorithms in that same black box that crypto mining setup would be in, and saying no data can go out, no data can come in, only the prompt and the prompt response back to the end user, right? And that end user is also happens to be inside that trusted execution environment. So we couldn't even look into their data if we wanted to, right? We couldn't market to them if we wanted to. If we got a court order to expose their records to the court, we would literally have to tell the court, you need to go to them because we cannot give it to you.
Exactly. It's the whole your house is your castle thing, and no one has the right to take something out of your house without your permission or without the order judicially to do so at the place where the property is owned. And data is property.
Yes, intellectual property 100%. And most people don't know that. And most people are uploading their data to the internet on a daily basis. And I think there's a longer term play for Red Pill. Maybe we call it something else, where it's, hey, this is how you can use the internet and not get marketed to. Right. Use the internet in its purest form and get the data and make the decision that's best for you. Ultimately, that's how it should be. And if we're outsourcing the decision-making process, and that's my biggest fear with artificial intelligence today, is I see a lot of people outsourcing their internal compute, right? And just handing that over and saying, give me the easy answer. The easy button is always the hardest. Right. There's a lot of very good literature on this. The easy answer is always the hardest.
Exactly. A high level of unearned trust that ends up being poorly given. You just trust the wrong thing because it was the easiest thing. Back to your business to side clients. Obviously, we all need to start educating ourselves and be aware on this. What should companies understand before they decide how they're going to integrate decentralized technology and where data goes and where it's housed and who has access to it?
Yeah, I'd say the large enterprises who have a very strong foothold and understand their value are fully aware of this. It's not a new concept to them, and they're very hesitant to let their team do anything when it pertains to artificial intelligence, as they should. It really, these algorithms, if you give it access to your entire data set, it's really a virus that's going to extract all of that data and then bring it back to the mothership, right? And CISOs who are worth their salt are fully aware of this. So for them, it's like, hey, there's a way you can have your cake and eat it too. We've open sourced all of this. If you want, it takes about 6 months to build it, or you can hit the easy button with us and deploy it kind of on the go with our cloud infrastructure, right? Or we're happy to come on-prem and help you stand this up so you can use artificial intelligence in your environment, right? So that's what I'd say to the enterprise. And then this message does kind of fall on deaf ears when it comes to the startups, right? Because they're trying to go as fast as they can to build and to capture market share. And security ultimately is an impediment to speed, right? We're no different, right? If you deploy inside a trusted execution environment, you're going to lose about 5% of speed just right off the get-go. I think that's not a lot when you think of the grand scheme of things, but there's other people who feel differently, and they're totally justified to do so. I'm not going to say one way or another, but you should at least evaluate and know kind of what's out there. And we're not the only player in this space. There's Tinfoil. Near is doing some great things in this area, and even Google and why am I blanking on AWS, Amazon, and Microsoft? They're becoming aware of this as well, and they're offering this to their larger clients so they can go fast, right? The main thing, right, for those larger, the big three, right, is you have to have a pretty large stick to get the assurance that we're providing out of the box, right? So,
right, and it's a matter of scale, right? You know, it might not be worth it for the small independent players to wage that fight to get a Microsoft data center to silo their environment. So they need a smaller, more nimble, more ready to go environment player like you to be able to step in and make that offer to them, because the big three won't offer it to them just because they don't scale, or because their economic incentive isn't there to offer it at that scale.
Yep.
Absolutely. What about the way this plays into both the regulatory environment in the United States, you know, a lot of things that are trying to be onshored anyway, and the regulatory environment in places like Europe, which has a lot higher level of privacy and data and liability regulation? How do you make assurances to clients that might be worried about those environments, regulatory environments?
Yeah, no, again, we point back to the technology and the fact that all of our work is open sourced, and there's an active bug bounty program out there if there are vulnerabilities, and nothing is perfect, right? There's going to be hiccups, and we iron those out as quickly as possible, right? As it pertains to Europe, though, I'm very grateful to Europe because they lead the way. They led the way with GDPR. It feels like 20 years ago, but it wasn't. It was closer to 10. And they're leading the way when it comes to AI regulation, right? Then California typically adopts some form of that. And Texas actually there's laws on the books in Texas that happened a year after California for this exact issue, that if you're using an algorithm, it cannot train on your data. The question is, how do you prove that? And I think the legal giant is starting to wake up to this, or at least I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And the regulatory environment and everything else start to see where under regulation hasn't actually served the society at large.
Yep.
Absolutely. So now you've got to communicate, you and your partners and your leaders and your commercial enterprise has to be able to communicate that to a client base, a potential client base that doesn't really know, that isn't the subject matter expert on this, that hasn't done the research, and that doesn't really know where the trends in industry are going. How do you get out there and communicate this message in a way that It's a little bit of evangelization. It's a
Yep.
little bit of education, but it's also an opportunity to pitch a product that has a market. How do you get out there and communicate?
Yeah, no, LinkedIn, we've had a good amount of conversations there. But honestly, it's just in person, right? You can get a lot more done in a face-to-face conversation. So I'm trying to go to as many events as I can. Like I mentioned, I was just in Florida. I'll be in San Diego at a trial lawyers event at the end of next week. And really, it's just the idea that I think we're all familiar with. I haven't had a single person reject this idea that is, if I'm asking Google how to make a pizza, like that's okay. And I know that Google's indexing that, and that's okay. That's fine. But if I'm asking Google about my son's medical records, that's not okay, right? And it should be. It should be, but it's not the way the things are currently constituted and the way things are plumbed currently.
Right.
And being able to provide the assurances that your IP is not being trained on, that's exactly what we're solving. And that will always be our main value prop. The technology will change. The way technology works in a few years, trusted execution environments likely won't be the most secure way to do it. There'll be a better way to do it. It's absolutely an arms race, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to be the forefronts on this. Not so you don't have to, not so you can sleep well at night, because you still need to be wary of all
Vigilant.
the security.
Exactly.
is a team sport, right? And we're not the one-stop shop to solve all your problems, but we are solving a very, very critical one. And that will always be our main bread and butter.
Yeah.
If that tracks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Critical environments and making sure that, the future of this is in medical PII, personally identifying information, and everything else. Yeah. How do you secure all of that data for all of those users and people? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a little bit of just, we got to keep the lights on, right? So we're laser focused on on the legal space, as I've kind of mentioned. Once we have the traction there, I think, on the on-prem environments in terms of manufacturing, right? And when we start thinking of regulations and
IP,
that nature,
yeah.
I think that's kind of the next natural fit for us. And then after that, medical, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of healthcare startups that are looking to penetrate the U.S. market and really reduce the cost of healthcare, right? And they're listed on our website. I think they're doing some really, really cool stuff. That's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And continuing to help those guys innovate and ensure their clients' data does not get leaked. Like ultimately, that's the name of the game.
Absolutely. So, Jayson, where can people find you guys and learn more about Follow? What are you doing this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow.com is honestly going to be your best bet. There's a ton of documentation there and a ton of research that we've done. And all of our stuff is open source. We believe that is the correct way to do security. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can just search my name, Jayson, McQuown, McQuown. I'm one of one from that perspective, which is cool. Yeah. Pretty easy to find. Not too active on any of the other socials. But yeah, shoot me a DM or send me an email. If you hit the contact sales button on Follow, you're going to chat with me. And then redpill.ai is the new product that I think is exciting. And I'd love to get some feedback from people on.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Anything else you'd like to say to close us out?
No, Peter, I appreciate the time. I think it was a great conversation, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Okay, great. Hey guys, this has been Partnership for Profit. I'm the host, Peter Conrad. We're a production of Leduc Entertainment, a great marketing and podcasting company. We're available for anything that you guys need to expand your business and increase your presence. Thanks so much, Jayson. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Take care, man.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.